Thank you, Mr. President. This is the Conference Committee report on House Bill 89. We will start in Section 2. This is the straw man provision that we passed out of this body, I believe, on 2 separate occasions that would criminalize you for trying to persuade someone to sell a gun. Section 3 deals with allowing persons who are licensed firearms holders to take that firearm into a state park, historic site, or recreational area. Section 3 would allow that same person, the licensed firearm holder, to have their firearm in a restaurant that serves 50% or less of their total revenues in alcohol. Section 5 adds the constable portion of the bill that we worked with, the underlying bill on, I believe it was House Bill 257 just 2 days ago. Section 6 cleans up some of the language on applying for and receiving that firearms license permit. We had an issue with the judges on this, but I believe that's been resolved in this section number 6. Section 7 is the original underlying language of House Bill 89, dealing with where a person may keep a firearm in their vehicle. The rest of Section 7 is also the parking lot provision that now applies only to licensed firearms holders. And Section 8 provides immunity for persons who assist others in natural disasters. I think all of this we have dealt with at one point or another during this session or in the last 2 sessions, and it has all been placed into this bill. Mr. President, I'll be glad to yield to questions, or even more glad to yield to well. It's in here.
Senator from the 31st is recognized for a question.
Senator, yield.
Yes, sir.
On page 7, line 19, it says to any area used for parking on a temporary basis.
Yes, sir.
Now, I have asked some of the conferees about this, and I believe that means the same thing as to any area used on a temporary basis for parking. I just wanted, for the record, I wanted to be sure that we are talking about the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Senator from the 36th is recognized for a question.
Thank you. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
As this conference committee report, I believe you said will expand where people with concealed weapon permits can carry their guns?
Yes, ma'am.
Should we be troubled by the fact that Georgia, unlike 46 states that allow a concealed carry, that we don't in Georgia require cause or moral character or knowledge of state gun laws or any particular training to get a concealed carry permit? Should we be concerned that our concealed carry permit is such a lax procedure that there's really not much check on the people that are getting this concealed carry permits?
I would not agree with your characterization of there not being much check. I believe there's 3 separate background checks that go into this. But I think the proof is, since we've had the firearms license permit for many years, what have the people who have a firearms license permit, what have they done? Have they participated in criminal activities or have they not? And I know when we went through the testimony on this bill, at some point, either earlier this year or last year, we were given a statistic that, in fact, a person in Georgia, which is only 3% of our state population, that has that firearms license permit, actually, those people have a lower criminal record than law enforcement does. So I think we're probably dealing with the safest of the safe in this state. So if we were just now enacting a firearms license permit, we may want to include those regulations or those stipulations in granting that license. But we now have many years of experience to look back at and realize that whatever process we have come up with, the result has been law-abiding citizens receiving this permit.
Well, isn't it true that in our language that addresses it, that it reads that probate judges must issue the concealed weapons, concealed carry? permit.
Yes, ma'am. They must, unless there's evidence to prove that that person is not eligible.
But yet we don't establish. We walk away from 3 or 4 or 5 levels of evidence that we could require, like demonstration of moral character and a cause for the need to carry a concealed weapon other than just a desire to have a gun by your side night and day. And knowledge of state gun laws, demonstrate knowledge of state gun laws, and demonstrate that the person is trained in the safe use of a firearm. Wouldn't those seem to be things that we'd want to require, gentlemen, the well?
If we got to the day where we required someone to show cause to exercise their Second Amendment rights, we might as well just tear up the Constitution.
Well, isn't it true? I believe that many, many other states do include that. And further, is this language on allowing these concealed weapons to be carried on our MARTA trains and our mass transit, is that language still in this bill, in the conference committee bill? Could you show us where it is?
For the mass transit?
That's right.
It's on page 4, line 18. I believe there's only 4, maybe 5 states in the United States that prevent a firearms license holder to take their firearms onto mass transportation. So considering there's about 45 that allow that, and there has, to my knowledge, not been any negative consequences to those states allowing that, I think we're on pretty safe ground. I would be happy to continue to answer questions, but at this hour, I wouldn't want to continue too much further. If you'd like to come to the well and speak to this, you certainly have that right. But I think that considering most of these, in fact, all of these measures have been passed by this body at one time before now, we have had ample debate on this issue and all the issues contained within.
But it is true that many of us are hearing huge volumes of email from constituents that are concerned about a bill of this size and this sweep and this drastic a change in where concealed weapons can be carried, to be passing this on the 40th day all lumped up in one conference committee report. Isn't it true that I certainly am, and I hear that many others are getting expressions of deep concern from parents, teachers, educators, people in the public transit system, and so close scrutiny of such a sweeping bill would be well advised.
Well, I would suggest that all the parts of this bill were debated on days prior to day 40, and were given an ample opportunity, or this body was given an ample opportunity to understand the issue and debate these issues. And again, I would like to move forward if that's possible, and you certainly have the right to come to the well and speak on this bill if you'd like.
Thank you.
Senator from the 33rd is recognized. Please give the senator your attention.
Senator Yield.
Yes, sir.
Senator, I understand that there's an amendment in the conference committee report that limits, if someone owns or leases the property, they still have the right to be able to enforce whatever rules that they want to apply. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That was in the original HB89 that came through and added language from SB 43 that said that the property rights remain supreme. So if you do own the property, you can restrict firearms from everybody if you'd like.
So, further yield, sir?
Yes, sir.
So that would lend itself also to the portion of the bill that has to do with restaurants.
Yes, sir.
So if they own or lease the restaurant, they can restrict
yes, sir.
People from carrying arms, even licensed people.
Yes, sir. On page 8, line 17, nothing in this code section shall restrict the rights of private property owners or persons in legal control of property through a lease, rental agreement, a contract, or any other agreement to control access to such property.
One final question.
Yes, sir.
If there were I guess we get into, isn't it true we get into a situation where what law supersedes what law if we talk about municipal ordinances or county ordinances? So if the people or the stockholders of the city of Atlanta, through their elected representatives, wanted to pass, along with the CAB, to pass